Harisharanam. There is a question of miracles, which is widely discussed across all countries. There are atheists, agnostics who don't believe in this. But not only agnostics and atheists, but even some of the people who are properly into religion and spirituality, they also sometimes do not believe in it because they have never seen such kind of a thing called a miracle. What's a miracle? A miracle is something, some occurrence which cannot be explained through normal, usual means and usual experiences, the laws of nature, as known at a particular time. For instance, people won't believe, would not have believed 50 years back in India, could watch something happening live in the US or in England in a particular field. But today, when we have the technology, we watch regularly on the TV matches of cricket and football anywhere happening in the world. Today, we don't believe it's a miracle because we know we have known the laws that explain the miracle. So it no more is a miracle. But even today, when people say that Vedavyas, sitting in his ashram, witnessed the entire Mahabharata sequence and heard everything being talked there, and that he empowered Sanjay to also have similar divine vision, distance vision, like you have today, the long distance vision on the TV. Nobody would believe that because that was not done through technology. That was a spiritual power which is acquired or bestowed upon saints by God. I had a friend who was not an atheist, who was not an agnostic, who was properly into religion and spirituality. And he was at least 15 years senior to me, and he was a good friend. He would often call me to his ashram, and we would discuss things. And he would again and again say that it's nothing like miracle. He's widely known in the country. He would be clad in Bhagwa clothes, fiery Bhagwa clothes, and his name also was drawn from fire. And he was the disciple of a saint who was born in 1884 and who created a Samaj, a community, which is also a big religious community. But that gentleman also never believed in miracles because he never saw a miracle happening. Unless you see something, you won't believe truly, generally speaking. But I had the occasion when I would talk to the gentleman I referred to, who was my friend, who passed away during Corona times. He would often tease me that there's nothing like miracle, nothing like miracle. I would simply smile. He said, "You believe there's a miracle?" I said, "Very much. If you have spiritual powers, or you have seen people with spiritual powers, more often than not, they have spiritual powers and they can perform miracles. They do not do that. They do not exhibit that. But once in a while, people close to him watch and see that yes, he is performing miracles. All miracles are happening in his presence, whatever you call it." Tulsidas, the great saint poet who wrote the Ramcharitmanas, he touched a dead man, and that the dead man became alive. Who would believe that? But it happens, let me tell you. I personally have had experiences of numerous miracles since early days. I saw them, I witnessed them, so I believed in them. The first miracle that I saw was when I was studying class 5 or 6, very small boy. And my mother was a healthy person, but she had often stomach ache, serious. That was because of a very minor disease called appendicitis, but that could not be detected. I don't know how, by any good doctor, perceived to be good doctor, until she was about 50-year-old, and she suffered for the 50 years because nobody could detect that problem. So my father found a person who could do something about it, a spiritual person, clad in the saffron color clothes. He called him to our house in Gaya. There's a township in Bihar called Gaya, and he came, sat in our puja. Puja means a kind of a chapel for Hindus in their house where they keep the idols of the deities and do the act of worship. He sat for a few minutes, meditated, wrote something in a piece of paper and put it there in front of the idol of Bhagavati Durga, Shakti. Then he called my father and he gave my father the slip of paper and said that whatever you have in your mind is already written here. Is it true that what you wanted to ask is written there? My father saw the slip and he said, exactly, this is what I wanted to ask you. Many questions, 5 or 6, and all were written there. And this can be called a miracle. How can this happen? How can know what you were thinking prior to you have met him? But this happens. And it's a very small kind of a spiritual power which can be acquired by anybody through sadhana, uh, if one knows what sadhana is appropriate for this. A similar thing I saw when I was, uh, I had, I was in class 11. Yes, I was in class 11. I had come to Delhi to spend my vacation after examination, and my brother, my cousin, took me to the house of a person who was said to be an expert of Bharatiya Vidya, that Indian spirituality. He was not a saint. He didn't claim to be a saint or a religious person, but he was a scholar of the Indian system of spirituality. So when I reached there, we found that somebody was in the veranda, was sitting, an old man, must be 80 or so, writing something in a copy. He didn't look at us. We opened the gate, went inside, sat there. When we sat there, he raised his head and gave that slip of paper to us and asked, are these the questions that you wanted to ask me? And there were 5, 6 questions, some of them philosophical, some of them about my future, some of them about other things. And he said that yes. I said yes. I was surprised. Not so much surprised because I had seen this act earlier too in my childhood. But yes, what he wrote was true. Then I questioned whether you can answer these questions. He said yes, why not? Then he answered the questions. I won't say that all came to be true, his predictions came to be true. Might be some came true, some didn't come true, but I didn't care for that because I had not gone exactly for that purpose. I was taken by somebody there. So I can't comment on that. But he did write the answer, questions. These are small miracles, but I saw bigger miracles. I was in class 8 in a place called Siwan, and again in Bihar. I had gone to my grandfather, lived in Siwan, uh, for studying in class 8. So I was still, I think, 12 or 13-year-old. My uncle was in another township of Bihar, and he had been married for 10 years and he didn't have a child. So that was a problem. And he had exhausted the channels in the medical science. Nothing worked for him. Therefore, he requested my grandfather to go to Devraha Baba. There was somebody called, there was a saint, a very accomplished saint, well recognized saint, with a very austere lifestyle. He didn't wear anything except a loincloth, be it winter or be it summers. Always be on a machan, that is a kind of a elevated place made of bamboo where nobody could touch him. So my grandfather took me to that place called Lar Road in UP, where about 200 people were sitting, and he was guiding them from the machan, that high pedestal. They all had some problems. Nobody goes generally for any great accomplishment, God's vision or self-realization. Very few of them. Most of them go for solving their regular problems, daily problems. So my grandfather, he looked at and he asked, "Bacha, kyun aaya hai? Why have you come, child, here?" He said, my grandfather said that, he explained that his son has been married for 10 years. He has had no issue till date, so something should be done about that. So that sense through small fruit, which I captured. And then he said that you send this to your uh, son, let them eat, and next year they will have a son. So I went back along with my grandfather. My grandmother packed the uh, fruit in the a small, tiny piece of some box, and a tiny box of Baba Jarda. I remember very vividly the kind of shape it had, then covered with the cloth and sealed it, and then it was she asked me to go to the post office and post it to send it to parcel it to my uncle. So I did that. Next year he had a son. That son became an IITian later on, very brilliant. And he had another son also after a couple of years. He also is well placed today. So this was a kind of miracle for many people. And they would say, how can, by eating fruits, how can anybody have son? But it happened. I'm telling you, I was the witness to that. And if somebody tells you, in the Ramayana it is written that after that yajna, Dasharatha was given the pious kheer, milk and rice cooked. It's called kheer here. And that was given to Dasharatha, that you give to all your queens and they will have issues. So Kaushalya, Sumitra, Kaikai, everybody ate something, some portions of it, and they had issues. Rama, Bharata, Shatrugna, Lakshmana, all were born because of this miracle. So you don't believe when it is written in the Shastras because you've never seen that kind of a thing. But I have seen with my own eyes. So I'm telling you, this happens. And spirituality does not mean knowing what is written in the Dharma Shastras. It is not speaking Sanskrit or English or Hindi, because the saint I talked about did not know even Hindi properly. He could not speak good Hindi, let alone Sanskrit and English. But he had the powers. That is most important. So spirituality doesn't mean that somebody delivers sermons day in and day out. It is more than that. It is greater depth, greater profundity. And I have witnessed many, many more miracles with my own eyes as a child. And that strengthened my belief in spirituality and religion, that there is some great substance in it. When people ask me, how did you come to this field, this realm, I have to explain to them again and again that I had not told them about the miracles that I saw, I witnessed myself. Today I'm telling, and I should not tell you, and I cannot tell you everything in the same session today, but I will again come back to you with some more stories that I myself experienced, saw, witnessed. Till then, I would say, don't be skeptical because you have not seen. You may see one day. You may experience yourself one day. And not only that, if you advance further, people may find that miracles are happening because of you being there. Hari Sharanam.
Hari Sharanam.